بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. There's one principle that if we understand this principle properly, a lot of things become very easy for us. And it's based on a Quranic verse. The Quran says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden anybody, has not made anybody responsible for things which are beyond his control. Just remember that. So there are two types of actions, or two types of things. اختياري, فعل اختياري, and فعل غير اختياري. اختيار, اختار يختار, to choose. So you have the ability, you have the choice. It's in your capacity. And غير اختياري, meaning it's not in your capacity, it's beyond this. So based on this, in the verse, what are we responsible for? Those things that are ikhtiyar, in our control. If it's not in our control, then just don't worry about that. And because of not understanding this principle or not implementing it in life, a lot of people, they go through, they put themselves under unnecessary difficulty. Yes? So, for example, one thing is mentioned here is waswasa. What's waswasa mean? So you have two types of thoughts. One thought is, I'm going to go home and have a cup of tea. That's your own thought. That you made that thought from your own mind. Or you had a thought, I'm going to home, I'm going to go home, I'm going to sleep, I'm not waking up for Fajr. That's a thought, that's your own thought. So is it ikhtiyari or is it ghayr ikhtiyari? It's ikhtiyari, your own thought. Now, other things are not in your control, like a thought just comes to your mind. And you don't want that thought. So that means that's not in your control. It's not your thought. Shaitan puts all sorts of thoughts in your mind. It just comes and goes. So it's not in your control. So just ignore it. Don't worry about it. So these is called waswasa. So these waswasa, people give different examples. Some people say, for example, Hazrat Mawlana Shaykh Thanwi Rahmatullah gives an example. It's like a wire. You know, have a live wire. And I say, cut it. It's live, let's cut it. Now, it's got electricity in it. If you're going to push it, you're going to pull it, you just touch it anyway, you're going to get shocked. Just leave it. Just say, that's not my job. Leave it. Another one is that, for example, if you have dogs, and you have these dogs, if you run, then they run behind of you. They think you're playing with it, so they run. If you stay still, they just stop, and then they think, oh, let's go away. Another example is some people give is you have those annoying little kids in your class, they want attention. So they pull you, they hit you, they throw paper at you. They want your attention. Does it happen to you, or are you one of those? Huh? Yes? So you have those people, they mess around in class. So if you give them attention, you throw it back, you shout at them, you say, oh, I'm going to get you after class. Then they say, yeah, I got somebody to play with, somebody to mess around with. Somebody's getting frustrated. If you ignore it, what's going to happen? Look for somebody else. You just say, well, it's not worth it. So this is how you understand these kind of thoughts. The Sahaba radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, they said to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we get such thoughts regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can't even say it. How can we even say this? The Prophet said, that's good. Meaning, as-salihul iman. If you have a thought about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala you don't like, which means that you have your ikhtiyari, your thoughts that you have in your own control are good thoughts about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's my khaliq, he's my creator, he's good, he's kind, he's loving, he's merciful. And the other thoughts that you don't like, you don't want them, that means they're not from you, they're from shaitan. So what's Allah saying in the Quran? وَإِمَّا يَنْزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ. That if shaitan ever attacks you, meaning he puts a waswasa in your mind, a thought in your mind, a bad thought in your mind, he doesn't say, oh, fight him. He just says, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ إِنَّهُ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. Just say, أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. Seek Allah's refuge, that's it. Don't worry about it. And this principle applies to many other things. Some say, oh, I make dua but I can't cry. Okay, it's crying if you're an actor, it's a different story. But crying is in your control, not in your control. It's not in your control. What's in your control? Making dua. So what are you responsible for? لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. So what should you do? Do dua. Do you get more reward for crying? No. You get less reward for not crying? Just do dua. I'm reading the Quran but I can't concentrate. Doesn't matter. Whenever, Hakim Akhtasab rahmatullah alayhi say, so he says that huzur is not necessary, ihdar is necessary. What's hudur mean? فَلَازِمْ حَضَرَ يَحْضُرُ حُضُورًا. To come by itself. And أَحْضَرَ فِي بَابِ إِفْعَالٍ. So lazim. So your heart, so who's the file of hadara? Not you, the heart. Not in your control. My heart is not hadir. Okay. But can you do ihdar of the heart when you remember? So you're in the Quran, where am I? I don't even know. Your mind is all somewhere, I don't know where your mind, from China to France to Brazil to South Africa, all the way back, it's all over the world. But when you remember, you say, oh, okay. What am I doing? You catch yourself. Bring your mind back and start concentrating again. That's it. Simple. That's all you're not responsible for the other thoughts. Dhikr. So I do dhikr, there's no point. There is a point. The two organs in your body, your tongue and your mind. So if one organ is doing the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one is saying subhanallah, alhamdulillah, la ilaha illallah, Allahu akbar, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, is saying these great words, then at least the tongue is doing one thing. And the other thing, if the mind is not there, don't worry. Even if you were to not pay attention on purpose, what is this, a less ni'mah, a small ni'mah that your tongue is remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So your tongue is remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah. And if your mind goes away, then when you remember, just bring it back to concentration. Yes, and many other things like this. So if it's not in your ikhtiyar, don't worry about this. People get confused and they get worried and they think, oh, I'm a bad person. Even. And then shaitan, from one thing to the other, it goes. That's what fuqaha, in many places, they've tried to say this, we call it in modern language OCD. Like you just can't, you accept things, just leave it, forget it. Like for example, what's the masala regarding wudu? You're not allowed to wash an organ more than 3 times. You have to wash your face, your hands, and your feet, and then masala once. If you think it's dry, if you like genuinely, oh yeah, you know what? Something was here and I moved it. You genuinely have a thing, you wash it. But if you think, oh, it may not be washed. Have you got any evidence to show it's not washed? No, then that's it. 3 times finished, khalas. That's your wudu is done, whether it's washed or not. Because then what's going to happen? It's going to 4, it's going to go to 5. Only 3 times. Anythime more than 3 from shaitan. The Sahaba said the same thing, the Tabi'in said the same thing. If you wash it more than 3 times, it's from shaitan. 1 is sunnah, 2 is good. So one is farth, 2 is good, 3 is sunnah, and more than that from shaitan. So remember this principle throughout your whole life. What we remember, we are responsible for umur ikhtiyariya, for things that are in our ikhtiyar. If it's not in your ikhtiyar, then don't worry about it. And then slowly, I'll bring those things as well. And this is one is like waswasa, thoughts about dhikr, about your tilawah, about your dua, about anything. If that thought is not in your control, it's just coming to you, just ignore it. And don't even try to like get rid of it. Just the principle is your mind can only pay attention towards one thing with full focus at one time. So if you have a thought, like, just say, okay, forget that, that's from shaitan, I know it's from shaitan. Don't say, just leave it, like, now he's like, oh yeah, I'm getting him, I've got him. He's saying, that means I've got him. I've annoyed him in it. So say, okay, no, again, what's that? Let me start doing something, let me start cooking, let me start cleaning, let me start reading. Just do something else. And they say, yeah, these thoughts are there, alhamdulillah, these are thoughts, means I'm definitely a Muslim. Because that's what the Prophet said himself, that these bad thoughts are sarihul iman. This is explicitly proof that you're a believer. And shaitan trying to mess with you. And you just carry on, do something else. Do something else, start talking to somebody, do something else. Don't even worry about it all. And sometimes some of the ulama have said that when you're doing an ibadah and you don't have all of these, that you're not crying, your heart's not paying attention, it's even better for you. Sometimes. Why? Imagine, yeah, sometimes you get in a good state. You're in the Quran, it's going well. Yes? And like you cry, or you're flowing really well, you're pondering upon the meaning. Imagine like that state stays with you your whole life. What would you think about yourself? You think I'm some biggest buzruk in the world? Yes? So sometimes, like, let's say for example, if you make a mistake in Taraweeh, yes, then don't worry. That's a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is saying, well, let me make a mistake. Like yesterday you were praying Taraweeh, He made no mistakes in the main surahs. But when he made 2 mumbles in Surah Fatiha. No? So the whole Taraweeh, no mistakes. But 2 places he got a bit confused in Surah Fatiha. That's like a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So sometimes, I even like, it happened to me twice. On my WhatsApp stage, I was writing Arabic, and the Arabic was wrong. The harakat was wrong. Like I put Mansoor, so Banjoor or something. I was like, why you say, is this right? I was like, no, it's wrong. They said, what happened? I said, that's Allah's ni'mah upon me, so I don't become proud and arrogant. I know Arabic. Because sometimes when Allah takes away, like if you remain in that state of constant attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, always crying, always 100%, you think I'm the biggest saint in the world. So if you say, you know what, salah is so difficult, then you realize, you know what, it's not me. Allah gives me this ni'mah sometimes to concentrate in salah, and sometimes I can't concentrate, but I still perform salah, so which means it's only Allah's ni'mah. So sometimes these kind of things, so to have this condition, sometimes it's also a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep, we say, dimag pe khana pari, chill out mate, that's what Allah is saying, chill out mate, you're not too, yes, it's a ni'mah, so we don't get involved in pride and arrogance. So very simple rule. What's the simple rule? La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only made responsible for what is in your control. So any problem you have in life, think, can I control it? Yes, then do this. If you can't control it, then don't worry about it. You follow? That's what it's simple. Even the Prophet said, what's an example? Laysa tafritu fil, no, innama tafritu fil yaqadha. You went to sleep and you overslept. You put everything in place, your alarm was in place, someone to wake you up, and you overslept. Don't worry. It was in control. You woke up, your eyes open, and then you thought, I'll go to sleep again. That was in your control. That's what to worry about the tawbah from. And there's so many examples in there. So, worry about those things that are in your control. Not in your control, don't worry about it. Ignore it. And if you start worrying about those things, that's a me for shaitan too. for this. And sometimes as well, we have other things like, it's not ibadah, but other things like, for example, some people, Allah hasn't decreed for them children, so that they get so stressed. So if Allah hasn't decreed children for you, it's Allah's taqdeer. Allah knows best. Allah said there are 4 types of people. Some people have boys and girls. Some people have only boys. Some have only girls. Some have nothing. There's 4 possibilities in it. You have both boys and girls. You only have boys, you only have girls, you have nobody. So there's one going to fall the 4. Allah's chosen for that group. Why? Allah knows best. Don't stress out. It's not in your ikhtiyar. Obviously, it's not having natural desire. But if Allah hasn't decreed it for you, it's not decreed for you. Laylatul Qadr. It's not a power. And the moment hay starts. So it's like, Allah's decreed. It's not in your ikhtiyar. You didn't make the hay start yourself. It's natural. So now, tilawah was not mentioned for you. Tilawah was not meant for you. Dua is not, tilawah is not meant for you. And salah is not meant for you. Allah knows best. That's not in your ikhtiyar. So do dhikr, do dua, do something else. That's simple rule. If you do this throughout your whole life, things become very easy. Only worry about those things that are in your control. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us ability to act upon this. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.